you magnificent bastards. Dadline here, emerging from my cave of cynicism like a raccoon that spotted an unguarded buffet. Today we're reviewing Dispatch, the new episodic superhero workplace comedy from Ad Hoc Studio. That's ex-Telltale refugees who apparently crawled out of the corpse of that once great studio and decided to resurrect the narrative adventure genre with a defibrillator made of Critical Role voice actors and Aaron Bloody Paul. You play Robert Robertson, aka Mecha Man, a powerless twat in a fancy tin suit who gets his ass handed to him by his nemesis, loses the suit, and ends up demoted to dispatch jockey for a team of reformed supervillains. Think The Office meets Invincible, if Jim was a depressed Iron Man knockoff and the staff were ex-cons with powers and daddy issues. Credit where it's due, for the first and last few episodes, Dispatch is genuinely quite good. Writing sharp as a batarang to the tit, proper laugh-out-loud stuff, banter that actually lands instead of face-planting like most comedy games. The Z-Team are a bunch of dysfunctional reprobates you'll grow weirdly fond of, except Invisigal. I started out fond of her, but by the end of the game couldn't stand her. Gameplay is split between dispatching your idiots to emergencies, a surprisingly tense little strategy minigame where you match powers to crises like a game of superhero Tinder, and the classic Telltale style dialogue wheels where your choices supposedly matter. You juggle office politics, rebuild your suit on the sly, romance options that aren't completely cringe, mostly, and try to turn these villains into functioning heroes without someone accidentally blowing up Los Angeles. Early on, it feels fresh. Consequences ripple and relationships evolve. The dispatches are addictively strategic. You have to plan way ahead which heroes you intend to pair together and make sure their skill sets don't overlap too much. For example, if you have Flambe with maxed out strength and mobility thanks to his passive, and you always pair him with Prism for the 15% synergy boost together, then every point of strength or mobility you put on Prism in the early game is completely wasted by the end of the game, and you'll be wishing you opted for intelligence on her instead. However, the hacking minigame can fuck right off, and I really don't like that the game gives you predetermined usable items when your dispatch level goes up. I only used the heal injury item one time over the course of 2 playthroughs, and same with the revive down character item. Would it have killed him to add a shop and pick what items you want? But here's where it really starts to wobble like a fat man on a unicycle. By episode 5 or 6, you realise the branching is about as meaningful as a politician's promise. Oh sure, characters remember if you were a dick to them, but the big plot beats railroaded harder than a Victorian orphan. I spent hours babying certain relationships, making optimal dialogue choices, only for the finale to shrug and go, lol, anyway, here's the ending we planned all along. Some choices feel like they were added in post because a focus tester asked, where's the illusion of choice? And the dispatching, while clever at first, gets repetitive. It's the same map, same crisis types, just with slightly higher numbers. By the end, it's less strategic genius and more wax on, wax off over and over. In Mismatch, the humour tends to veer into try too hard territory with constant pop culture references and that particular brand of 2020's edgelord quippery that thinks swearing about trauma makes it deep. It's funny, don't get me wrong, but after 8 episodes it starts feeling like that mate who won't stop doing impressions at the pub. And the episodic release? Fine in theory, but waiting weeks between chunks just highlighted how much filler there is in each one. Still, when it hits, like the bar fight episode or certain gut punch character arcs, it's properly brilliant. The redemption stuff actually lands emotional haymakers. World feels lived in, and it's one of the few games this year that made me care about a bunch of pixelated wankers. I was, however, disappointed the game didn't have a survival mode you could unlock by beating the main story mode. I feel it would have been very easy to implement and an extremely fun game mode. If you had to earn currency and use it to purchase different heroes, letting you pick from the heroes outside the Z-Team like Brainbook. So, what's the verdict? Dispatch is a solid revival of the Telltale formula with superb production values, great characters, and enough laughs to forgive the illusion of choice bollocks and mid-season sag. If you miss The Wolf Among Us, or just want superheroes who act like dysfunctional adults, give it a go. Dispatch is getting a pretty good from me. Worth playing, but could have been legendary if they'd committed to the branching instead of teasing it like a stripper who keeps the pasties on.